masses for like 5 hours, and I was dumbfounded that they were that militant or that aggressive about getting the Trump vote out and the Clinton vote to discourage them from even voting. Now, on a results basis, the vote was legitimate. The people that voted, and I don't think there was any fraud with the voting machines, but there was off-planet intervention by the Sirius B Council in the 2016 election.
Wow. So, Kelly, what do you think about that? Do you think that's something the Sirius B Council would do?
Yeah, I do. I think they would because, when we did the last week when we talked about psychic things and we did predictions and I pegged in with everyone, they were telling me that, things have to go through a certain way. They have to go in this direction so that we can rise up and that they can really help us. And they're pushing it along and getting the agenda to go quicker so that we can get out of this mess faster.
Okay. Now, I want to go back to the way back, which is, back on Sirius B. How old do you think the Sirius B Council is? Because from the lifetime I remember, everybody in the Sirius B Council is in the astral plane or they're in their light bodies. But if you're on the planet, you're in a physical body. And I remember that I used to go, like for a period of time, it'd be like a retreat, and I'd be at the council, even though I had a physical body on Sirius B before it was destroyed. I wasn't always happy about that because part of a thing about me is I believe in spiritual equality. I believe that for all intents and purposes, every being has the ability to be in its highest form. And I, even back then, had problems with this idea that, oh, well, you're selected, so, you go to the council, but certain other people just aren't able to do this, or we don't want them. Paul, what would you say to that, to my feelings about that?
Well, there were ascended masters on the council, and there were specialists that were working with the council on specific things, and they selected people they felt were qualified for specific work, and they couldn't select everybody at all times, and some people were more qualified than others, so it wasn't going to sit right with everyone, but the theory was to get the best possible person for the job when they needed to select someone to do something. And if you weren't picked and someone else was, you could feel like you were the best qualified person. So it was never a perfect situation, but I think it's always that way, that someone gets selected or called up to do an important mission and someone else says, well, I could have done it. I'm just as qualified. So there was some grumbling, but the theory and the idea was to pick the best talent, best qualified person to do the job.
Okay. So it was about who was going to be good for that position. It wasn't really judging people on their overall merit or their overall goodness, but there are things that need to be done.
No, it was like if you were very good with animals and with working with nature and with the elements, you got called in to do things because you were the best possible resource that they had. Now, someone else might have felt they were pretty good or as good as you, but if you got called in, they might have felt bad that they weren't picked. So there was some of that going on. It was it wasn't political, but it was, you had to pick somebody, but you didn't pick everybody that was in the field. You picked one person or a team of people, but it was limited.
Yeah, I agree with what Paul's saying. And they also picked a lot of people that he was talking about, the earth connection and the energies of nature, but also people that had had lives as Native Americans, people that were very visual in their abilities. They could see through things. You had to have certain qualities to be on there, not just because you were goodness or you were better or whatever.
Yeah, I'm actually talking about before anybody was on Earth. So, but I think it's a, but Paul knows I've had other problems. I've had the problem with the pushing the button on Atlantis, and it's like, I'm always hopeful, and I think that's probably the worst problem I have. So, Sirius B Council has been around before Earth, right, Paul? Right, Kelly?
Yes.
Yep. Yes.
And they were very much involved with Earth being basically a colony of many different types of beings. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well,
that's correct.
The original mission was to find a suitable planet, and they selected Earth, and then did the genetic engineering for all species and the cellular DNA work and remedial work in the future if something was wrong. So they really were responsible for developing all the species and kind of more like guardians as things developed. But we've had the planet has risen and then been flooded and had to start over again several times, so that it hasn't been like a perfect experience. It's been like different rounds, and then the round ends and a new round starts. And the Sirius B Council has been kind of the guardians, watching it and managing it from the spiritual realms, from the light body.
Okay, so I have a question for you, and this is just hypothetical. Being a geographer and an echogeographer, I had a lovely teacher who was from New Zealand who had done a lot of work with the World Health Organization and other NGOs before she became a professor. And one of the things that she was responsible for was bringing water to areas in Chad, Africa, that didn't have water. Well, what they found out when they dug a bunch of wells in Chad is that they actually increased desertification by bringing water to those areas. Like what she found out in her 30 years of going around the world trying to make geographic fixes and changes is that every time they tried to make a fix or a change, it actually ended up creating another problem that was worse than the problem they had before. And just to play devil's advocate here, is it not possible that sometimes in the course of the Sirius B Council meddling, that they actually can make problems that didn't exist before that are worse than the problems that they are going in to quote unquote manage and or fix? Whoever wants to take that one.
Well, now that's an interesting question. With anybody, there's always the chance that you may have meddled too much, but I feel that they were very set on what I'll use the word vision was for us going forward and what was set into play. And I'll let Paul finish.
Well, there's cycles, or there's like a full range of events that get set in motion, and like you got the polar caps, and then you've got land underneath these ice formations in a lot of cases, and they're going to go through a certain cycle of melting, and then they're going to become habitable, and there's a whole progression that's planned. So when you go to a place that's arid or desert, that's going to become farmable land in the future, but it's not at a time where it's farmable land, and you try to make it farmable land, it's not always going to work because you're coming in at the wrong sequence in the progression. So sometimes people come in and they say, well, we need to grow things here because there's too much desert, not enough farmland, but they're not looking at it from a million years or a billion years or the progression the way the council was. So the people from the World Health Organization, they don't see it that far out. They see it just in 2018 or 2010 or whenever they were working on CHAD, and they want to effect the change right now. But the Sirius B had a totally different perspective, and the progression was over a much longer cycle.
Right. And they're looking at this from, okay, they have a different perspective. How do they get their information? So, for example, back when my teacher was doing her World Health Organization NGO stuff, they had some computer modeling. They didn't have satellites yet. They didn't have anything like the, a way to look at probability fields. What does the Sirius B Council use?
Well, they go through the whole time consortium. There is no time at their dimension, and they can see the whole progression as if it was all in the now. So they know where things are going and where they're going to end up. And the people that are on the ground working on things only are in the now. They don't see things in the future. They don't have the whole time consortium to really understand things. So they have less resources. They're not less intelligent. They're not less educated, but they don't have the same resources. That's how I would put it. I have no disrespect for the scientists or the people doing the work.
Right. But they have a different worldview and perspective and way of harnessing information. It's basically, you can only see so far out, and so you're going to be as short-sighted as you are, given your worldview, your tools, your perspective. You'll be short-sighted if you don't have some view of all time happening now. Kelly, you were going to say something. Sorry.
I was just going to pipe in with a little comment. I was going to say it's like the council having a galactic vision board. Yeah. And they can sort of plant it all out right in front of them, right? And because people understand what a vision board is, right? And so they can plant this thing all out in front of them. They can see it. They can see where it's going. And so my guides are giving me the picture so people can relate, like having a visionary board, but in that galactic realm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we talked before about Atlantis on this show, Paul. It is funny when you're looking at timelines or when you're looking at a galactic vision board. What do you do when free will gets involved? When you have a bunch of very fallible physical beings who concurrently, they might be high mucky muck Sirius B Council people, but they still have free will, and they screw up from time to time. What do you do then?
Well, you're talking about Atlantis. I need to just add a couple things. I'm not going off on a tangent, but is it okay to just give a little bit of a view on this?
Sure.
Atlantis was a experiment to take high tech and give it to the civilization or the group and try to balance the mind and the crown chakra and the heart chakra. And what happened is it started out balanced between the heart and the mind, and the high tech started to keep moving people into the mind and ego and out of the heart. And we kept trying to balance it so that people were heart-based and their mind was very advanced, and they were using the technology. And they started getting into their ego and being very domineering and controlling. And they didn't allow heart-based decisions. And then they went into the artificial intelligence, which was even more rigid and not heart-based. And it kept getting more and more off track, and we kept trying to fix it. And we were trying to introduce the high tech, the modern technology, the advanced technology, and keep the mind and ego and the heart balanced. And it got out of control. And that's a situation where we thought it was possible or tenable, and it turned out that it wasn't. And we were there like every day fixing things. And after thousands of years, we kind of decided that it wasn't actually going to work, and you really couldn't take the technology away from the people because you just couldn't. So the only thing to do was to remove the power source, and when we did, it imploded right away. I was involved with setting up the power source, the Atlantis crystal array from Sirius B, and also taking it out. And it was a result of the heart and the mind being out of balance and not being fixable after a lot of intervention and an inability for the people that were in that civilization to balance it. That was kind of the crux of the problem. It wasn't that we gave up on them because we were lazy or we didn't care or we were too busy. It was that we didn't see that they could balance the heart and the mind and ego. And we did intervene, and we did use all the resources we have, but ultimately it was their free will, and the high tech actually took them out of the heart. We're kind of starting to go into that right now, where the high tech is getting people very mental, very much in their mind and out of their heart. Not to the extent it was in Atlantis, but with all this high tech that's coming in, people are getting really mental and not as much in their heart as they used to be.
Yeah. So now we're not in an experiment, right? We just are what we are. We have what we have. This is not some micro, mini, highly managed situation. If we're going to do AI, it's either going to work or it's not going to work. If we're going to get out of our heart, we're going to get out of our heart, and that's going to have consequences, not just for a few thousand people over a certain set of time. I mean, this is it, right?
Well, this is the 7th round. Earth has started and ended and started and ended. We're in the 7th round right now.
And I think we're in that we were talking about this last week. We're in that space where light and dark is a little bit unbalanced on the Earth right now, and that they're awakening the star seeds. They're awakening that coding, that DNA in them. They're trying to get that ascension happening to balance out. And it's whether we can bring that up to have it on the light side of balance, and then we can move forward into New World Order. It's up to us to continue working in that and help it to go through. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Okay. So again, I'm going to go back to the beginning. So Sirius B Council, so there's a son of Sirius supernova. Oh gosh, how long ago do we think that was? Billion? Million? How many millions? How many billions? It was a long, long time ago, right?
Yeah.
About 8.9 billion years.
Okay. So one thing about this is that what we're talking about is an extremely long view of evolution of consciousness in the physical plane. And how is it that the Sirius B Council is not in the physical plane? It is essentially beings who are light beings, or in the, where are they? What dimension are they in? Are they astral beings? Are they mental beings? If you're on the Sirius B Council,
galactic. They're galactic beings, and they're purple. The way you can tell the Sirius B Council is they're purple. They're glittering and shimmering, almost like a metallic paint job, like a silver or gold paint job, glittering, shimmering. They're not like solid colors like navy blue or hunter green. They're glittering, shimmering, and they're very tall. They wear robes and they have hoodies. And when you see them, they're like 7 feet tall, and they're not they're not like grays. They're not like short little guys. Guys and girls. They're both masculine, feminine. It's not all one gender, and they're very much like guardians, but it's galactic guardians. They're not celestial. They're not like in the solar system, kind of working the solar system. They're They're like the whole universe. They have a very, very high standing, and they have a lot of authority too.
Okay, so some people will want to know because it sounds like an alternate religion, but I don't think it necessarily is. I think it's just an expanded worldview. If you were to take Jesus and the Creator, however you want to say God, and okay, some saints and some angels, and rank them on a hierarchy, which I don't believe in, where would this, but I'm going to ask the question anyway, because some people will want to do that because they normally think that way. Where would the Sirius B Council be in relationship to Jesus, Mother Mary, Archangel Michael, the Creator God?
Well,
or the source.
Ascended Masters have been on the council.
Yes.
And I'm sure
the whole council is Ascended Masters, but it's more like the cabinet of the U.S. government. Use that as an example. There's the Treasury, there's Department of Justice. There's different. Okay. There are different departments that do different things. Jesus is more heart-based, love, protection, and the Sirius B Council is more about guardianship, about DNA engineering, and they have different roles. So you got different Ascended Masters doing different things. They're not. It's not a question of one is better or worse than another. They've got different jobs or different work that they're doing.
You know, you and me and the lamppost in my bedroom would look at Mother Mary and Jesus and say, "Oh, Ascended Master." But some people will say, "You're not giving credit to the powers that be on earth. You're not giving credit to Jesus. You're not giving credit to God." But that's not what you're saying. What you're saying is they're all part of the same system, right?
They're all part of the same system, but and the Sirius B Council doesn't replace Jesus or Mother Mary or anybody. The Sirius B Council has a totally different assignment and does different work similar to like Department of Justice and Treasury or Veteran Administration or different departments do different things, or the FDA or the different departments all specialize in certain things, and that's sort of what it boils down to. We're not negating anything.
Yeah. Okay. So in the cosmology, there's room in this worldview. There's room for everybody, but they're doing some service. So the Sirius B Council is doing a protective service of physicality, of life in the physical realm, right? And they're also designing and engineering that life and in a hopeful manner that, okay, this will be a good learning experience. Would you say that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, they do a lot of other things too, right? They work in the facility communication, transportation, and Paul and I were talking earlier, and he could probably touch on this more, as they do encoding of systems and things, which is very interesting.
And if you go back to the humans that are on the planet now, you'll go back and there were different races and different humans and different species like 200 million years ago or 300 million years ago, and they evolved. The Sirius B Council was there evolving them. That there was remedial work and tweaking or adjustments to make a more optimal being, so that they had a lot of ongoing work with every species, and some go extinct, but a lot continue and get assistance and keep going.
That is wonderful. And I was just going to ask you, wait, do they do that with dogs and cats too? So there's actually scientific proof that horses are genetically changing across the board. And would you say that has something to do with the Sirius B Council? Like, they have found in the past 10 years that there were genetic changes across every breed of horse. As long as it was an Equus, they had a genetic change, and they all did it. would that be something that the Sirius B Council did?
Yes, they did it.
Yeah.
Sirius B Council, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we see something like that, where all of a sudden you say, wait a minute, horses used to be showing this genetic makeup and now they're showing this one. And these are horses that aren't related to each other all across the board. They're all showing it. That's a sign that there is another thing going on, and that's the Sirius B Council on Earth.
Yeah, it's genetic survival.
Okay.
It didn't happen by coincidence. It happened because of work that was done.
Right. Yeah, they cannot figure out how it would have happened that all of a sudden horses would all change, horses that weren't related to each other. They just, across the board, they just changed. And this was from the time that we've been able to do genetic testing on horses, within the 20 years of that, 25 years, whatever it is, in order to see the change. They notice, wait a minute, every one of them across every species is changing. So some people would say that's morphic resonance, but, going back to Sheldrake, but is the Sirius B Council working with morphic resonance, or does it just show up like that because it looks magical?
No, I was hearing from my guide now as I was listening is that when I said genetic survival, I mean that they're not wanting them to go extinct. So they're changing their overall genetics to allow for them to continue to flourish. But it is the council doing it because things are going to be changing on the earth. There's going to be more drought, more problems, the GMOs, all this stuff going on. So they need to change their genetics in order to link them to the survival.
Right. And that's very clear.
There's also with the honeybees, a lot of species of bees are not making it. And there's work going on about that, but there are changes going on that are going to make certain species have a harder time surviving. And that's a big issue that the Sirius B Council is working on now, the honeybees.
Well, that's really an important issue because we, most of our food crops rely on honeybees, and if we kill them all, then we're not going to get a lot of food pollination. So we're kind of messed up if we do. So I'm glad they're working on it. I hope they do find it. With horses, it's very clear with the GMOs. When Obama said yes to alfalfa being GMO'd, oh my gosh, they had done that in India, and the donkeys and the horses and the mules died because they have such sensitive systems. People who don't have horses don't understand how sensitive their systems are and how easily they can go toxic and die. And so I'm glad that they're working on it. I'm glad that's what those genetic changes are that we're seeing.
But part of the problem is the pesticides and the chemicals that are being introduced and the GMOs are causing problems, and it's hard. There's a free will factor of the scientists and the companies making these products to make sure that they're not destroying the infrastructure, destroying the honeybees and stuff as part of their work. So it's a complex situation because the Sirius B Council can't come in and knock off the companies that are doing this work that they don't like. They don't do that. They don't take out people or create situations like that. But there are people that are making some decisions that are very difficult and troublesome, and some of that has to be balanced out. It's not a question of not doing it or doing it. It's a question of doing it responsibly. And that's where the Sirius B Council is trying to adjust or focus on responsible GMO work and not irresponsible.
Yeah, and this would be something that Sirius B Council would totally be in on because it's working in the Earth connection and it's working with the energies of nature, and that it's part of their mandate. And so anything around the animals, the GMOs, the food, the land, Mother Earth, Gaia, all of that, yes, they're going to be in there and they're going to be involved.
Okay. All right, so a lot of people say this is another worldview, and I didn't read a lot because I was an experiencer who was in a research group. So I worked with Bud Hopkins and John Mack, and they said, don't read a lot of stuff. We don't want you to be contaminated. But I've met people since, they're both gone, who say the Anunnaki did that. Who are the Anunnaki in relationship, or are the Anunnaki even real? Is there a relationship there with the Sirius B Council?
Well, the Anunnaki came later.
Okay.
Sirius B was the pioneers, or they got things started, and they've stayed with it the whole time.
And the Anunnaki are just newcomers.
Pretty much.
They've only been around about what, 400 to 500,000 years, Paul, I think, something like that.
Yeah, compared to like 6 billion years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Are they in competition? Are they trying to do things for their own purposes, or are they, what's their deal then? That all of a sudden they come to this place where there's already somebody doing it.
They are working on specific things and specific areas of expertise, and there are other beings. The Pleiadians have assisted, and the Arcturians have assisted. There are different groups that have come in that bring certain expertise and knowledge, and they are actively involved. It's not like a monopoly, or the Sirius B Council doesn't want any other ascended masters and knowledge to be introduced. They welcome it.
Okay. Well, that is good to know. So it's not an us and them situation. It's, hey, what do you think you can help with? So, let's all. They're
all trying to make this a better world.
Good. Okay, we're having a lot of conversation in the Spreaker chat room. Not any question per se, but as people who are connected with the council, what do you think of chemtrails? Are chemtrails sort of anti-life? Are they? What are they doing with chemtrails? Not the Sirius B Council per se, but what do you guys get on that?
I get that it's a program or an experiment in controlling the weather and manipulating climate, and it's being done in certain countries. It's not done in Brazil, but it's heavily done in the United States. Mm-hmm. And I feel it's a scientific program that may be not formally acknowledged, or no one claims who it is that's doing it, but it's to try to control the climate, control the weather, and be able to have more successful outcomes in terms of rain and sunshine, and avoiding drought, and avoiding imbalances or flooding. And I feel like there are experiments and there's technology being applied, and they're trying to figure out how to optimize it. And they're like seeding the atmosphere with many different things, and then that's creating change. The problem is that some of the things in the chemtrails are very toxic and dangerous, and you don't want to have formaldehyde raining down on you when you're outside in your backyard in a hammock and breathe it, or stuff like that. But it's being done to work on climate change and controlling the weather.
Yeah, I think part of the issue is that, they say that they put water in, but people believe they're putting chemicals in. And, I think looking forward that this is a technology that could perhaps cause harm. But at the moment, Paul is correct. At this particular moment, it's not being used for that.
Okay. And it could be one of those things. Like, I brought up before, my geography teacher who had done all the work in Chad and different places around the world. They're trying to. This is a humankind thing, right? This is not an alien thing. This is humankind saying, "Okay, we think we're going to find a fix for this, and let's try this." But that's a short-sighted sort of thing that's going on, that may have negative consequences that they're not aware of yet, right?
Yes, in the future, it could, yeah.
Yeah.
But there are certain places that are uninhabitable or are very, they're deserty, or there isn't much farming going on right now, but there are other places that are thriving, and over the longer term, the deserts will become farmland, and some of the farmland may become deserts. And what happens is people go to the deserts and they say, gee, if we could harness this land, we could feed a lot of people, but the farmland's somewhere else, and it's in the cycle, it's not the right time. And yet the people say, well, if I can do this, I'll make a big name for my company or myself, and they get attached to trying to fix it out of sequence in a situation where it's not the right time to fix it, or everything they do will actually backfire, which is what you alluded to earlier, that when they tried to help or fix things, it actually got worse.
Right. And I think with the chemtrails, if the council wanted to give more information or knowledge of how to make that work to help, it would be happening, and it's not.
Right. So something about, it's sort of like, this may be a dead end. This is where our technology is and what these scientists know right now in terms of cloud seeding and whatever else, this may be what they're trying, but it's probably an evolutionary dead end when push comes to shove and everything changes the way it's going to change in the timeline and in the cycle. Some people are on the Spreaker chat room saying that how can you believe in climate change if people are doing geoengineering? And my thought on that is, well, because both things exist. It doesn't mean one doesn't exist because something else does exist. What is your thought in light of the Sirius B Council?
Well, there's been climate change in every round. We're in the 7th round now. There's been pole shifts, and when the poles have shifted, North Pole doesn't become South Pole, and South Pole becomes the North Pole. It could be that that Chicago becomes the South Pole, and somewhere else becomes the North Pole. They don't shift exactly to the other pole. And this has happened before, and there's been climate change, and there's been melting ice caps and glaciers, and nothing stays the same. Everything is dynamic, and it's part of the ebb and flow and the evolution. So you're basically seeing a big shift going on right now. We're at a point where the ice is melting, the poles are shifting, and it's causing earthquakes and flooding, and land masses are shifting. Some are sinking, some are rising. It's a real big time of change that we're in right now, and it's going to be getting fast and furious and starting to pick up.
And Kelly?
Absolutely, the poles are shifting, and there is. I did a wonderful meditation last week, and I went way up outside the planet, and my galactic guys were showing me the light grid around the Earth, and they were showing me how the poles are shifting, and they're having to manipulate the light grids to work with the shifting that's going on in Earth to maintain things. And so the light grid workers are like little bumblebees right now, trying to maintain everything. So there's a lot of stuff going on. We talked about, I brought some of it up last week about how everything is just shifting right now. And as Paul said, it's going to get fast and furious, and we are going to see that want to say dark mist kind of rising, and things picking up and going further and further and further. And you're going to see a lot more things happen, more earthquakes, more droughts, and just a lot of more political upheaval, and things are just going in that direction for now.
It's part of the time. And so some people I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this, are more grid workers, light workers getting turned on to have to help deal with this? Or will they have found that, you know, in the past year or 2 years or even in the next year that all of a sudden they feel like their energy has changed and they're supposed to be doing something, but they don't know what it is?
Well, there are a lot of people that are hybrids, and the term is like half human, half ET, or half off planet. And these hybrids are here because they said they wanted to be here to help with the shifts and to help support the planet, and they're being activated. And you're getting a lot of people that have lived a regular life, and they've been like a corporate employee working somewhere, and now they're going into their spiritual work, or they're going into helping the planet in different ways, sometimes part-time, sometimes full-time, and they're holding space or they're working with the grid. I know I lived in the United States, and now I'm in Brazil, and I'm holding energy in a specific place in Brazil, and I believe I agreed to support the shift and to be here, even though I was brought up and I worked in the United States, and now I'm down in Brazil. There are people that are moving around and holding space, and it's part of supporting the changes so that it'll be successful.
Well, I can relate to, Paul and I have been talking off air, and I am one of those hybrids that's here. And I was telling Paul that they've informed me that I'm working with the coding, and that's my function, is to awaken the coding in others. And I also mentioned this last week, and I'm sure Paul will relate to this, that the energy vortexes are changing and shifting. And like Mount Shasta, Sedona, like things are shifting to different places. And I mentioned one in Chile, I think, last week. And I think Paul would agree with this too.
Yeah, they are changing, and there's also a lot of energy coming on the planet that hasn't been on the planet, and there's some energy leaving the planet, and that's creating huge shifts in the energy. And some people are okay with it, but it's a little overwhelming for most of the people, or a lot of people. I don't know if you get that, Kelly, when you work with people, that some people are struggling with the energy changes.
I do. I feel that people, when we had the 3 moons, people were really just in all sorts of different energetic states. And I don't get as affected by it because I am working right in it. But people were kind of all over the place and having to pull them in and pull their energy in. And it was quite interesting, actually.
Okay.
Well, I get that. I get that quite often. But one of the other things that's real important is, as the energy gets stronger, you need to ground people a lot more. And people may say, well, I did the grounding I've been doing for 5 years. That doesn't really matter. They need to do more grounding right now until they feel grounded, whatever that takes. And a lot of people aren't grounded enough, and they can't manifest if they're not grounded.
Right. They can't manifest things that they yeah.
Yeah, absolutely true. If you're not grounded, and this is one of the big things I see with a lot of people that are awakening or coming into spirituality, they are not learning how to ground properly, and they're just going into working in energy without the grounding, and so they're having scattered energy, and so us as light workers really need to do a lot of work with teaching people to keep themselves grounded and how to work with that energy that's surrounding them.
Really good. Okay, so moving forward, Sirius B Council people, what are the main things? Is Sirius B Council going to be working with the grids around the Earth, the light grids around the Earth? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I told you I was just showing that, right? And they showed me the grids. It was very interesting. It was like these grids outside of the Earth, totally surrounding the Earth. And even though I know there's grids on the Earth, they were showing these to me, and they were showing me these almost like shooting stars of energy going in and out. And they were these workers and the energy of people going in and through the grids and working within the grid. So they are, yes, very much involved.
Very good. Well, we are coming up to the end of our first hour. Thank you so much for talking to us about the Sirius B Council. If people want to call you or write to you for more information, how do they do so, Paul?
Well, my email is paul@mediumpaul.com, and the best thing to do is to send me an email and explain what you're interested in doing or accomplishing or what's going on, and I'll get back to you probably the same day. And my website, I've got a website, but it's a little bit dated. It's www.mediumpaul.com, and you can contact me through the website or shoot me an email at paul@mediumpaul.com.
Okay. And Kelly, how do people get to you?
They can go to my website. It's Ancient Veils, and that's spelled VIELS .ca, because I am in Canada. And my email is ancientveils@gmail.com.
Okay. And both of these two, they are excellent psychics. I can attest to that. And they are just fantastic to work with. So do look them up if you have any questions or you want a psychic reading. When we come back, we're going to invite in Cinda Kay Campbell, and we're going to start our reading section of the evening for Psychic Sunday. Paul will be staying, Kelly will be staying, I will be here, and we're going to do live readings. Now, Skype has been a little bit funny lately, and it hasn't been allowing me to let people on, but tonight it might. So I will give out the number at the top of the hour, but if you don't want to call in, as per usual, you can write your question, and it can be a personal question. Hey, Valentine's Day is coming up. It can be about love. Any of those kinds of things you can ask, but when we come back, that's what we'll be doing. We'll see you right after these messages.
Hey, space travelers, it's Joe Roop, your host of Spaced Out Saturdays. Come join me as we explore the realms of the paranormal, the esoteric, and everything in between every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. You know the truth is out there. Don't get caught sleepwalking. Come join Spaced Out Saturdays. That's every Saturday night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, right here on spacedoutradio.com.
365 days a year, we're in the field, investigating UFO sightings, talking to alien abductees, and visiting secret military locations like Area 51. We're UFO Seekers, official partner of Spaced Out Radio. Follow our daily search for the truth at ufoseekers.com or like us on social media. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
From coast to coast to coast, Blacklight Uncharted is taking on the paranormal across Canada. From ghostly hauntings to the UFOs flying above in conjunction with MUFON Canada, we're closely investigating what's going on in the northern skies and checking out the apparitions that walk among us. Check out our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com. We want to know your thoughts, we want to hear your experiences, and we want you to share your stories. The answers are out there, and we intend to find them.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
It's paranormal news at its finest. Welcome to The Encounter. at spacedoutradio.com. The Encounter online is SOR's trusted news source for everything weird and strange going on around the world. This is news editor Eric Markham. Our team of journalists are scouring the planet for those strange stories that rarely make the mainstream. No fear-mongering or fake news here. Head over to spacedoutradio.com and encounter the Encounter.
Want to learn more about aliens, cover-ups, conspiracies, cryptids, and the paranormal? All you have to do is tune in S4 as we take over the Spaced Out Radio Night, starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, each and every Saturday night, right after Spaced Out Saturdays. Hi there, this is Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. Join me, Corey Ruiz, and friends as we discuss the hot topics of the night. It's fun, entertaining, and as dark as the night. Find us at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
There's a lot of strange going on in this world, and we can help you find out what's going on with you. Paranormal, cryptids, UFOs in the sky, aliens in your bedroom tickling your toes. We have the investigators you need to find out the answers you deserve. All you have to do is head to spacedoutradio.com. Your information is 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines Report. It's free, and we're here to help.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from your 4-Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
Looking for nighttime adventure? Old school radio that delves into everything out of the norm? Then check us out at Spaced Out Radio. This is Dave Scott. Every Monday through Friday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, we're going to take you on a wild ride ranging from conspiracies to true crime and every ghost, alien, and Sasquatch story in between. We're always live, and we're always interactive with you. So join us at spacedoutradio.com, where together, we own the night.
Masses for like 5 hours, and I was dumbfounded that they were that militant or that aggressive about getting the Trump vote out and the Clinton vote to discourage them from even voting. Now, on a results basis, the vote was legitimate. The people that voted, and I don't think there was any fraud with the voting machines, but there was off-planet intervention by the Sirius B Council in the 2016 election.
Wow. So, Kelly, what do you think about that? Do you think that's something the Sirius B Council would do?
Yeah, I do. I think they would because, when we did the last week when we talked about psychic things and we did predictions and I pegged in with everyone, they were telling me that, things have to go through a certain way. They have to go in this direction so that we can rise up and that they can really help us. And they're pushing it along and getting the agenda to go quicker so that we can get out of this mess faster.
Okay. Now, I want to go back to the way back, which is, back on Sirius B. How old do you think the Sirius B Council is? Because from the lifetime I remember, everybody in the Sirius B Council is in the astral plane or they're in their light bodies. But if you're on the planet, you're in a physical body. And I remember that I used to go, like, for a period of time, it'd be like a retreat, and I'd be at the council, even though I had a physical body on Sirius B before it was destroyed. I wasn't always happy about that because part of a thing about me is I believe in spiritual equality. I believe that for all intents and purposes, every being has the ability to be in its highest form. And I, even back then, had problems with this idea that, oh, well, you're selected, so, you go to the council, but certain other people just aren't able to do this, or we don't want them. Paul, what would you say to that, to my feelings about that?
Well, there were ascended masters on the council, and there were specialists that were working with the council on specific things, and they selected people they felt were qualified for specific work, and they couldn't select everybody at all times, and some people were more qualified than others, so it wasn't going to sit right with everyone, but the theory was to get the best possible person for the job when they needed to select someone to do something. And if you weren't picked and someone else was, you could feel like you were the best qualified person. So it was never a perfect situation, but I think it's always that way, that someone gets selected or called up to do an important mission and someone else says, well, I could have done it. I'm just as qualified. So there was some grumbling, but the theory and the idea was to pick the best talent, best qualified person to do the job.
Okay. So it was about who was going to be good for that position. It wasn't really judging people on their overall merit or their overall goodness, but there are things that need to be done.
No, it was like if you were very good with animals and with working with nature and with the elements, you got called in to do things because you were the best possible resource that they had. Now, someone else might have felt they were pretty good or as good as you, but if you got called in, they might have felt bad that they weren't picked. So there was some of that going on. It was it wasn't political, but it was, you had to pick somebody, but you didn't pick everybody that was in the field. You picked one person or a team of people, but it was limited.
Yeah, I agree with what Paul's saying. And they also picked a lot of people that he was talking about, the earth connection and the energies of nature, but also people that had had lives as Native Americans, people that were very visual in their abilities. They could see through things. You had to have certain qualities to be on there, not just because you were goodness or you were better or whatever.
Yeah, I'm actually talking about before anybody was on. I am working on my sound. I'm not sure what happened in the break, but I do notice that my microphone is not picking up the way it was before. I'm sorry about that. It has a very sensitive levels thing. So, I don't know. I guess if I knock the table, something goes on. Yeah, I don't have a gain on my mic. Thanks a lot. goofball. There is no gain on my mic. Gosh. Okay. Please ask these guys a question and stop complaining about my mic, because if you ask them a question, I don't have to talk. Anybody, stop complaining about my mic. They will talk.
Okay, well, if no one's going to have a question, let's the three of us discuss something. I had an interesting client a little while ago who I was doing some energy work on and channeling with her, and it became very it was a very strange feeling. There was a duality in this person, and it took me a long time to figure out that she was fragmented, just the way the energy and everything was flowing. And I want to know what your guys' experience have been with coming across clients that have that fragmentation, or you see a duality in them, almost like it's two people in one. What have you done with that?
That's a good question.
It's a very good question.
Well,
go ahead. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
I've worked with a lot of people that are fragmented or multiple personalities, and sometimes it has to do with abuse or post-traumatic stress syndrome, and you can actually see the age that whatever happened in the personality. So there might be like a 7-year-old kid, a adolescent, a young adult, a very needy person at different ages or maturity levels, and you can actually kind of go back and figure the age that it happened based on the behavior. And a lot of times it's trauma. I have techniques to release the trauma, but you can see it in the eyes. When they shift personalities, they go distant and the eyes change. I'm sure you've seen that, Kelly.
Yes, totally. This is totally what happened. I was writing down some of the channeling I was getting for her, and it was very disjointed, and it was almost like I was channeling for two different people. And I was just about to, so I just stopped. I took off my glasses and I looked her in the face, and then it just came out at me. Whoa, we have a fragmentation, and we have a person that doesn't understand what happened. Right? So when you have a client that's not understanding what happened to them, or that this is going on, and so there's a denial in there too. So it was trying to bring that forth and talk to them and make this connection for them. It was very interesting.
Well, sometimes it's very, very delicate, because let's say somebody was raped by their stepfather or something, and they pushed it out of their mind, and they've repressed it, and then they're like multiple personalities. They come to a medium for help, and you bring it up to them. They could commit suicide, or they could really freak out. So sometimes it's okay to do, but sometimes it's pretty pretty hard to know how much you want to open it up, because it's like a door that's closed, and are they really ready? Can they handle it? Or
I recommended therapy.
I recommended a therapy called Rapid Eye. It's a Rapid Eye type of therapy where they use like a flashing light, and they usually have a trained doctor doing it, and they're able to remember things, but doing it in a situation where if they get upset or get hysterical or freak out, they've got like somebody there that will be there and kind of support them, and they probably won't do anything rash like suicide. Because I don't like to work on things like that on the telephone with someone and not know like what they're doing or what they're doing in an hour. And I prefer to have work with the medical person and something like that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Cinda, what do you think?
I definitely think that's a good point for some situations. For some more mild ones, I see a lot of disassociation and fragments in a lot of people right now. People they're almost shamed into having anything wrong with them, or having difficulties in their life and they'll disassociate from it.
Mm-hmm.
And you see a fragmentation and they don't, it's almost like you have to introduce them in the same room, because otherwise they don't know the different sides of themselves. And it's just there's just so much stress, and people don't have their energy all focused into one place anymore. Mm-hmm. Used to, whenever we did a task, if we were doing the dishes, the only thing we were doing in that moment is the dishes. Now we've got the dishwasher going, the washing machine, and everything else while driving our kids. And, it's hard to stay all in one place and in your body.
And
in the society. So, but it's on a spectrum, and those things grow. And so I think it's important that we all, share those life skills and share how to breathe and how to get back into our body, and that it's okay to feel pain. I think a lot of us, if we think we've done something wrong, we don't want to look at that because it's painful or something like that. And it's okay to look at those times, because it's not just traumatic experiences, but yes, traumatic experiences as well.
Good.
Just another side of it.
Yeah, no, that's a good side of it. I'm sort of in between. I get, I do the introducing the person to the younger self, because what will happen is during a reading, the younger self will present, and sometimes they'll present like a different spirit. And they're not. They're the person when they were 7 or the person when they were 11. And I'm like, I have this little girl, and this little girl is very upset because blah, 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 blah. Oh, and this little girl is you. And in mediumship, it's very hard to go stop, wait, go back. But when I do get something like this, I usually will tell them, journal around what happened at that age. You can do emotion code clearing for clearing emotions at that age. Mm-hmm. And if you feel like you need help, go and get some. And if you need to call me, I'll give them my number and say, hey, if this gets really tough and you feel like you need to call me, I am an ear. But mainly it's, they won't be aware that, they have a 7-year-old them or they have a 4-year-old them, but some people really are. And that's wonderful to see.
Yeah. Some of them are disassociated personalities, and one doesn't remember what the other one just said, and others remember everything. And sometimes it's 4 or 5. I've had some that have had as many as 57 personalities, and that gets pretty crazy. But I've actually cleared trauma by extracting the trauma out of the cellular DNA, but the person has to cooperate and want to do it. It's a lot of work, and it's painful, and a lot of people don't want to do it.
Well, and you make a great point. I mean, because it takes a person raising their own vibration, their own frequency, to be able to graduate these energies that we carry within us. Let's put it that way. And it's definitely, they have to be an integral part of that process.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so guess what? In the time that I was complaining about my mic and you guys were coming up with a question, we got a ton of questions. And our first question from the Spreaker chat room is Lois asks, how's Jody's chemotherapy going? What do you get on Jody's chemotherapy? I can't imagine that's ever good because it's chemotherapy, but I will just be quiet. So,
I'm getting that it's improving or suppressing the situation about 10%, but it's not addressing the root cause of what was wrong that put stress on the body that created the pressure that caused the cancer. It's helping, but it's more like a Band-Aid. The situation is not resolved.
I agree with that. I feel like there's, like she's got a feeling of being trapped, this underlying not being in control. Anyway, yeah.
Okay. Kelly?
Yeah, they're showing me a picture of it going through her veins and through her body, And I agree with Paul. It's like it gets to the core spot, but it that core spot's kind of encapsulated, and it's not really getting in there.
Okay. And what they just showed me was a picture of mold, of black mold. So if she's in a place that would have black mold, you can have all the other emotional stuff that you have going on that plays into this, but they just showed me black mold when he said it's not getting to the source, and I heard black mold. So Lois, Lois, if you know of anything like that, if you can check that out, that would be good. And follow-up question, ask us. We're going to move on to Sandra, and we'll look for follow-ups. Sandra asks, can you tell me if I have any sort of abilities that I don't know of? This is from Sandra.
Of course, everybody has abilities they don't know of.
Most definitely.
I can do my taxes, and I don't know it.
We're not laughing at you. We're just laughing. Yes, there is. And I think there's a certain energy around her that actually can facilitate some good gifts if she would move more into spirituality and increase her vibration more.
If she has a certain interest, if she has a certain interest, definitely lean into it. That's her guidepost. That's her GPS. She'll feel it, and don't question. Lean into it.
Sandra, I see you've got laying of hands, the ability to channel healing energy through your hands. It's not necessarily a formal practice of energy work like Reiki, but you can put your hands on someone and channel healing energy. I don't know if you've done that, but I feel like working on healing, on helping people release blockages in different chakras, stuff like that would be a natural for you.
Yeah, I agree, because with that energy I saw around her, I knew that it was sitting in the energy work of some sort.
Okay. Very good, Sandra. I think you're really, really psychic, but that's just because I know you from the chat room. And I'm just going to stop right there. Let's see. My computer's being a little bit weird. And, okay, Catalina asks, will I get the job I've been trying to get within the next week?
Do I really want to answer that?
I'm not sure
what
she actually wants.
I'm getting that if she gets that job, it'll be a week from Thursday, not in 7 days.
Yeah, I just heard with that direct question, will I get the job this week? The answer I got was no, but that doesn't mean she will get the job next week.
Yeah,
that's how it works, right?
It does matter how you ask the question. Yes.
I get the same thing. I'm not supposed to read, but I get the same thing, and just have fun. Okay, I won't say more. Same thing as Paul. Next week, not within the week, but next week.
Sorry, next week, not this week.
Yvonne asks, or says, okay, Yvonne, if you have a question, it's nice that you had the ET interaction, but if you have a question about that, let us know. Kit Kat says, alternative personalities, good times, good times. Now you know who misplaced your keys. Thanks, Kit Kat. That I will always ask the alternative Elizabeth. I'll say, what did you do with my keys, lady? And then I'll go to Elizabeth number 3. What did you do with my glasses? And, they'll be on my head. Okay, so Yvonne says she had an ET interaction when she was on the phone with a medium, and then she asked healer number 2 about it, and she was informed that she was on some council. Is Yvonne on a council?
I'm getting no.
No, that's me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Same.
I feel like she's on some earthly council, though, not an alien council.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. She is not involved in ET council. No.
She might be on the PTA or something, but not on a spiritual council.
Well, no, but this could be. No,
Yeah.
but she's on some like it could be humans in the astral plane. That's what it seems more like to me, like human beings, something very something about Earth that it will become important. So it's something about the work that you do or will do shortly about the Earth, and what's around you. So think about that, Yvonne, and give us a follow-up. Lois wants to know, why are the Olympics being held in South Korea? And I think other than the fact that they won the bid, do we have a more unearthly answer than why are they being held in South Korea right now at this particular juncture in time? Anybody have an answer to that?
It was designed to come up now to get attention on Korea and to try to resolve some of the issues with North Korea, South Korea, the United States, but it was actually bid competitively against other countries, and South Korea won it. But it was actually intended to happen that way because they knew this was going to be a real important year to focus on that area.
Yeah, and like the Council on Sirius B is kind of like, let's just put it in a way people can understand. It's sort of like the Galactic United Nations, right? And so they're trying to make everything move towards that higher energy and light. And so they're trying to push that agenda, right? So it makes perfect sense that it would be there.
There's a lot of orchestrating going on right now. It's just, the energetic setups. There's nothing by chance, including the Olympics and the backing for that, the energetic backing.
Okay. Trippin' Fool asks, why do we lose sight of boats from bottom up? Because of the refraction of the light through the water, you bonehead. Okay, and ask a stupid question, get called stupid on air. Let's see. Okay, if somebody have a better answer than that, you can call me stupid later.
Are you still being one of those dwarfs today, Elizabeth?
I am grumpy. I was grumpy today. I woke up and I got so much work done, but I've been inundated with boxes and moving all of my stuff around my shop, so I'm covered with dust. And you know how when you're just kind of covered with dust, you just kind of start to feel like you're grungy and you've got, it's just like you feel like you got crap all over you, and then I start to feel like I like to be clean. I like water. I like showers.
I know. I know the exact kind of dirty you're talking about. The New Mexico dry dirt, and it builds up. And I'm a clean hippie. I like a shower.
Well, yes. and for me, just having those boxes around and that clutter and that dust. Would make me feel my energy feels scattered. It just does that to me.
Right, and I keep trying to find new ways to organize because that's what I'm in this process of reorganization so that I can actually get things done, so I can get my work done. But in that process of finding and setting up these new systems, everything is getting disorganized to get reorganized, and then when you add that dry dust on top of it, I become grumpy.
And there's always a little bit of the inner to go with the outer, and the micro, and even if we're doing it to our environment, it's going on the inside as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So your insides are grumpy, Elizabeth.
They're cleaning. They're cleaning out.
They're cleaning out, and I did have a bunch of gunk on my insides too. I actually had some friends who are clearers saying, "You need a clearing." I'm like, "Oh, you think?" We need a
Can you
clearing
help with that?
since I'm in a trash can and I look like Oscar the Grouch, I guess so. So yeah, that's how my day was. Okay, so Lois asked, is prayer important? And Lois was asking about Jody. So is prayer important for Jody?
Prayer
I'm getting
is like
meditation. Meditation, because
most definitely.
Jody has a racy mind, like too much going on, and calming the mind will help Jody to feel more detached and feel better and not so fearful.
Well, yeah, if it's Lois that's asking if she should pray, I get the sense that when you pray, even no matter how you pray, you're setting an intention and you're manifesting something. So yes, Lois, if it's for you to pray, yes, you should.
Good intentions never hurt.
That's right.
Okay, and then Christopher says, I've been having a shadow I see in my dreams all my life, and the stuff he gives me in dreams has this weird energy. Now he's helping me. I heard him speak once. I know your story. Any idea who he is?
No, I don't really like him.
Yeah.
I don't like him.
Yeah, sometimes shadows, Christopher, will tell you they're helping you when they're not. They just want to pull you in. Paul, what do you get?
He feels like he's taking Christopher's light, like he's draining Christopher.
Yes.
And he wants Christopher to allow him to stay. And Christopher can kick him out, say, you can't stay here, leave now. And he would have to
hygiene.
leave. Yeah. But Christopher's letting him stay, and he's kind of sweet-talking Christopher to continue to let him stay, but he really needs to be told to leave.
Yeah, and he needs to get wherever he lives cleaned.
Yeah.
Spiritually cleaned.
Exactly.
And I'm
exactly
laughing.
what we've been talking about.
Yeah, we're not like your boxes. Not like your boxes. Spiritually clean.
Well, and
That
I know Christopher's situation, so it's like, yeah, it's like, Christopher, you and me.
Okay, so maybe both. I want Elizabeth's advice, but really should look to get his place clean. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, and now Lois is back, and she said they have changed the architect Bill's medication. And he is unable to hold a conversation now. That is a really bad situation, Lois, and I'm really sorry for that, because you should be able to talk to your architect and have a conversation. Otherwise, things can go really awry, can't they? She wants to know how she can help.
This is the lady with the chemo, right?
Yeah, but this is someone else. This is Bill.
Oh.
And he's different.
And she's wanting to help Bill, and he's having a hard time communicating with his architect?
No, Bill is an architect.
Confused.
Okay.
Bill is an architect. They changed his medication, and he's unable to hold a conversation now. How can Lois help him?
I get that Bill is unstable right now, and that Lois, it really isn't about Lois helping Bill. It's about Bill working on things Bill needs to work on. It's not Lois's responsibility. It's Bill's responsibility. And if she's taking it on, she's taking on something she doesn't have control of. Bill has to do some work and balance himself, and he's more involved in the healing process and needs to be more involved than Lois. Lois is like good intentions, but it's not her responsibility. It's Bill's responsibility to get better.
And the first thing I got was my guides were showing me that his throat chakra is all blocked up, and I was going, well, what has that got to do with him and him feeling weird and not being able to speak? That they said it has more to do with he's not really speaking of truths of the trouble that he's in,
right?
Of the troubles that he's in, and he needs to find his voice for himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's gagged or something, or he's not saying what he needs to say, and Lois can't say it for him. And he's what I'm picking up is he's doing what he thinks people expect him to do, or trying to please others, but he's not following how he feels, and he needs to have more of a backbone and speak up and follow his truth. And that's not a Lois issue, that's a Bill issue.
Yes,
I agree.
Mm-hmm. And Yvonne says that she does shamanic work, and that, to me, that makes more sense. I thought she was more of like a Native American elder, and she was on some sort of spiritual, Native American council, but I wasn't sure. So she says she works with crystal grids in the earth, and she has shamanic heritage.
There you go.
Well, and you said
right.
with the earth, exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't feel it was ET.
No. And you had just been talking about ET, so my mind was there.
Yeah, well, and she had an ET experience on the phone with a medium, so it may be that ETs maybe they were just poking up to say, "Hi, good work, keep going, we need you."
Maybe just they're in the mode of awakening her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tripp says that question was for Ron, and then bites his tongue, and he put that in all caps, so I'm going to read it. You know what, Tripp, you're all right. I'll get Ron later. Everybody who listens to the show will know what that means. Eric says, I had a vision of a malevolent entity that self-crucified upon a spiky cross-like apparatus. It could leave any time it wished, but rested stuck to the cross. Okay, Eric, do we want to take a guess who that was? Anybody want to take a guess who that was, or is Eric just really twisted?
I don't want to even say what it was.
Okay, because it was not a good thing.
Yeah, let's just move on that one.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've been thinking about this a lot, so I am going to bring it up because I think there's a shadow.
I want to.
Christ.
I want to just say something real quick, Elizabeth. He has too much fear, and this was him projecting fear that brought that in. Yep. And what that did is it actually increased the fear, and he needs to be in his heart and not be fear-based. And we don't need to say what that spirit was. That's not important. The big issue is letting go of the fear and being in his heart.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because when you're in fear, you can build these things, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been thinking about this a lot this week, just in general, that the idea that there is like a shadow Christ, or a shadow Christ figure that gets used a lot in evangelical churches, where they build up the fear in people in the congregation so much that you get something like this. And it's not actually what the message of Christ is, which is to be in your heart and to also know that you're loved and that you're always going to be loved, and that the essence of everything is love. But, you can go to one of these churches and they might give you a little taste of this love, and then they inculcate you with fear, and it ends up being something like what you're talking about on a broad scale. Anyway, let's move on to that, because we don't want to talk about it. Sorry if you are in one of these churches, but that's been my experience of it, because I was also a charismatic evangelical way back when. So, and I still know people who seem to be quite afraid. All right. Going on. More questions. Wow. Okay, Wyatt asks, are my recent health issues over, or are there more issues to contend with? This is Wyatt. You may remember Wyatt.
Now I'm getting a visual, and they're telling me that there's still something in the base of his lungs that could reflare.
Okay.
He's not complete. He still has to continue to clear this up. It's not complete. It's not done.
I was getting the upper belly, but lower lungs could be it, in that in between space in there as well.
To me, it's in that area, but it's the solar plexus.
Yeah,
it's solar
definitely.
plexus.
It's very solar
emotional.
plexus.
It's emotional stuff that hasn't been released.
We're all in the same spot.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And then, Bill is in the hospital, and he's 90. He's not working as an architect. My bad for saying that. But she says that Bill is losing it. So, well, he's very old.
Oh.
Yeah.
The best way to help him then is just to love him and let him be at peace. The more peace he is, that he is at the time of crossing, the easier it is for him. And, just peaceful.
And just use your prayers, call the angels in. And call in Archangel Azrael and ask for comfort and peace. For him and for yourself and those that will be here. Yeah.
And I can feel, he's got plenty around him to greet him. There's no worries. He's going to make the transition, no problem.
Okay. Christopher says he thinks that the entity, the shadow person that he sees in his dreams, is the cause of his energy issues. What do you guys think?
Yep.
We all agreed with that before.
Yeah.
To begin with. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's draining him. It's draining him, but he's allowing it to stay, or has up till now, and he needs to get rid of it.
One of the ways I picture it is like inviting the stray dogs to your table, or shutting the door and saying, no, you don't eat here.
Yeah, he can do that, but I also feel that he needs to have in maybe a really strong shaman to clean out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He could definitely use some backup.
Okay. Lois asks, she wants to know if Joseph is at peace.
No.
Not entirely, no.
Joseph seems like he's not happy about something, and he may even be earthbound or very stuck, because I feel like there's something that he's not willing to let go of, and it's keeping him stuck.
Yeah, the word they gave me is transition. He's not transitioned. He's still in that state, right? From out of body to understanding what's going on with him. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he feels stuck.
And then her next question is, how's Roger doing?
Okay.
Roger's doing better than he was. The other
Roger's
guy.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Roger's completely fine.
He's doing great.
Yep.
Okay, and then we have a question from the SOR Space Travelers. Hello to all. Wondering if you can sense about me the next phase of my life direction, and if a mentor guide is part of this. And she says, thank you.
Does she have a name?
Jade.
Art. Thank you.
She set the intention. Of course, there's someone coming.
Yeah, so the minute she put it out there,
someone was going to come. You know that saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear?
Yeah, will appear.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Very shortly. Yeah.
And I'm sure that one of us could tell her what's going to happen in her life, but we always have to remember that there's free will. And if we give you the story, you're always free to go left or go right from that, and then the story that we give you may not occur.
Yeah, and that's okay too. So just as long as you don't make us, make it our problem.
Well, I'm just called to give her info.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk at you. Just don't make it our problem. Okay. Andy in the Spreaker chat room asks, is my spiritual family ET based or Earth based?
Oh, I think
I'm going to say both.
Yeah,
he's a hybrid.
ET for sure.
Okay, that's the reason I wasn't getting a hit. Okay.
Yeah,
well, he's part human, part ET. So I would call him both. Not ET because he's in a body. He's human, but he's a hybrid.
Welcome to my world, friend.
Okay. Vivian asks, and we've heard from Vivian before if you need to be reminded. She would be interested in hearing what anyone feels about the current state of her personal life. And I do want to say that her man did come back into her life and then he left again. So,
okay, I remember this lady. I think that she was on when Paul and I were on. Because even before you spoke, I got the spirit right away gave me the word complicated.
I got chaos, and I've never heard of her before.
Complicated.
I get that she is not forgiven him. She is not stuck, and she really can't move forward until she makes peace that it is what it is and let it go and just emotionally get neutral again so she can start fresh. She's not there yet.
What kind of mindful practice does she have? Does she do any breathing exercises, anything to help pull her back into her body?
Yeah, I think she should be journaling. She should be journaling her feelings and getting them out and down. And in that way helping herself. So the good suggestion for you is to get a journal book, and I think we might have told you this before, is to get a journal book. I want you to write everything, like, I'm so angry at him because he said this and it made me feel like this. I want you to just go through everything, and it's not going to be something you can do in a day. I want you to let all the emotion out on the paper, every single bit of it. I don't want you to reread it, and when you're finished with it and you've done it all to the point where you're just exhausted of doing it, I want you to take it all out, rip it up, and throw it away or burn it. And get rid of that energy.
Yeah. Purge.
Okay. And I apologize. Lois is saying that I sent you astray by calling Bill her architect. I misunderstood the question. He was an architect. And we kind of offended Yvonne with Paul with the PTA thing, and I think that was unfair. I think it was more the shamanic elder council in grid work, not the PTA. Not laughing at you, just being funny. Sorry, Yvonne, about that. It's not.
No, and I don't think Paul meant it that way. I think he just pulled it out from the.
It was not. She was not on like the Sirius B Council or Arcturian Council or Palladian Council. I meant more of like some Earth,
has to do with Earth.
Civil or social
service.
Council,
service on Earth.
Service council.
Yeah.
Not a off-planet council.
Yeah, and Paul can sound like that's meant to be belittling, but he really didn't. He doesn't mean it that way, because any service that you do is service that needs doing, and there's extreme gratitude from spirit and from all the beings of goodness and light that you do service.
And I don't want to be on the PTA. It's too much work for me.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of work to be in a PTA. That is a real service, believe me.
Yeah. But and things on Earth, it's like we need humans to take care of earthly issues. We need humans to take care of the planetary grid and to take care of those things. And that's we were talking about the Sirius B Council and the aliens being involved with that. But if nobody does it, there's nobody to be involved with. So it's not helpful. If all of these unincorporated beings do stuff and nobody else does, well, nothing gets done anyway because nobody does anything. So it's really
and we all
important.
joke around on here, but we always have everyone's highest and best, and we all set that intention before we come on that everything that we're saying is for your highest and best. So we're not meaning to hurt anybody's feelings.
One of the thoughts that come to me, because one of us, one of the things that we all had agreement on was about that earthly, and then when she came back with, being a part of that grid, right now, combining all the different energies into one is a lot of what we're doing. And if we do not have those people that are very earthly based and very grounded, and in that, as she says, in that grid, there's no way. Everyone's got to hold that space, and everyone has a different job within that. So it's not a matter of one being. And I do think it was more that the previous conversation was about the galactic. And it just wasn't a switch of the brain process at that point.
Yeah,
but I think that because I've moved back to New Mexico just to be near the volcanic energies and some of the other things in this area, because I do feel it's very important to be very grounded, very much with Gaia and with the grid. So what she's doing is still it's that's just it. It's very imperative.
Yeah. Really important. So. And remember what we said last week about people on the council often look like stoner dudes who do nothing. Come on.
Thanks a lot. Paul and I are on the council, right? Thanks a lot.
I know, but we had
somebody
this
needs to hold on to the balloon strings. If there's no one to hold on to those balloon strings.
Paul, we've been called out.
Not all of them. But it was mentioned that sometimes there would be people on the council who wouldn't know they were on the council, and they would be like stoner dudes going, yeah, all right, sure, fine.
Right, dude.
You pass that this way? All right. Yeah, okay. So we have to be more respectful. We will be more respectful. But, also, this is not about... It really isn't about hierarchies. If you're on my show, any of you, I do not believe in a spiritual hierarchy. Any of these people who are doing any of that nonsense, just stop listening right now, because I believe in spiritual equality, and I try not to have too many people on who don't.
And
I agree.
So whatever you do is important, and your spiritual path and your soul path is important, whatever it is. Okay. I'm not reading the last comment. Lois? Oops, I'm talking about what I'm doing on air. Okay, we have 5 more minutes, and I quickly have to find a question. Let me go over to the SOR Space Travelers chat room. Yeah. So... Jade wants to know, she's wondering about her dad. Is there anything she can do to help? This is Jade's dad.
You can't wish him better. It doesn't work that way. It's about letting him be and allowing him whatever it is he needs. And sometimes that's one of the most difficult things we can do.
Yeah, I think it falls back on what Paul was saying. I don't know if this was the same reading. I don't think so. For the other person about different. They need to take, he needs to have his own voice, his own control, and his own responsibility. Yeah. And as difficult as that is at times, sometimes that's what has to happen.
Well, the other thing is, I think that he's... ready to transition or move on, and I think other people are not ready. I think there is a issue of people want him to stay no matter what, and it's uncomfortable staying, and they need to let him make his own determination, but they don't want to. They're struggling with the fact that he's going through this.
Yeah, and so what ends up happening, I just had this happen with someone I know, is that the human part doesn't want to go. The human brain is like, I don't want to go, but the spirit is going, yes, it's time to go. We can't go through any more of this, and so the spirit will just cause that to occur.
Okay. Are we confusing Vivian with Jade? I would like to know from the chat room, because you guys were picking up on Vivian, and and for Jade. So, Jade, let us know if this makes sense to you, because I'm getting like a cross connection between you and Vivian because you're asking questions right next to each other. Sorry, guys. And then,
no, that's okay, because
I think that happened.
Yeah,
because I don't know if it was more something with responsibility or.
I just want to hear from Jade about that. We're going to go back to Vivian, because I think you're cluing into Vivian. She would like to hear what anyone feels about what psychic abilities they think she may have.
I'm hearing empath.
I'm hearing direct knowing, but she has to trust herself. I think she doubts herself. She needs to believe in herself more, because she does know things.
That's exactly what I was getting. It's more that she's not accommodating herself is the word I'm getting, which is strange.
Yeah, and with being the empath, you have a knowing, right? You have a knowing of people, right, of things, everything going on. I think she has. I think if she would take a good look at herself, and look at how she reacts when she's in a crowd, how she feels around certain people, if she picks up emotions and takes them with her. It'd be interesting to know what she has to say about that.
My first thought was that she knew before she asked us.
Yeah.
It's more of a confirmation question.
Exactly.
She wanted confirmation, probably.
And I understand that, and that's the reason I worded it that way. Yeah.
Did she respond yet?
No, but I think my chat room may be stuck, and we're going into we have a couple more minutes. So, hey, if anybody wants to reach you, Cinda Kay, how do they reach you?
At CindaKayCampbell.com.
Okay, and Kelly?
Yeah, my website is Ancient Veils, VEILS.ca, and my email is ancientveils@gmail.com.
And Paul?
Paul, mediumpaul.com, or you can fill out the information request form at www.mediumpaul.com.
Okay. Great. And this is Elizabeth Anglin. I am your host. You can find me at elizabethanglin.com or on Facebook at Elizabeth Anglin. We are going to go into our next set of commercials because we just love those commercials, and we'll be back in the next hour to answer more questions. I have a question, so I'm going to ask my question between now and then. But don't go away. If you have a question that you want to ask about anything, let's do it in the next hour. We will see you when we get back.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and I want you to come on a nightly journey. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, every Monday through Friday, you can come hang out with me and the other space travelers. We have it all from Carl the Alien bouncing on by to those misfit gnomes causing havoc. It's 3 hours of fun and entertainment on those topics the mainstream really doesn't want to touch. Come get all paranormal with us at spacedoutradio.com, and together, my friends, along with our resident guitar god Bumblefoot, we own the night.
There's stories, then there's the truth. Do any of us really trust the news anymore? This is Jamie Sexton, owner of Rebel Planet News. The third Thursday of every month, I appear on spacedoutradio.com to bring you the truth you deserve, without mainstream media lies or alternative media fear-mongering. We'll get to the heart of the story and deliver the truth you're seeking. So come join us here for the Rebel Planet at spacedoutradio.com.
Not ready for bed on Saturday night? Right after Spaced Out Saturdays, hop on over to S4 with Corey Ruiz and me, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. With S4, there are no limits to what we try and uncover. From government conspiracies to helping clean up the paranormal, no topic is safe on S4. We get to the heart of the matter, of the subjects you want to learn more about. So tune in on S4 starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, only on spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4 Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories, from alien encounters to the latest conspiracies. You won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter Online, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Do UFOs exist? Are aliens real? Are the governments hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO seekers, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow along with us as we journey across the United States, visiting UFO hotspots and alien hotspots, trying to document the UFO phenomenon. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
There's a lot of strange going on in this world, and we can help you find out what's going on with you. Paranormal, cryptids, UFOs in the sky, aliens in your bedroom tickling your toes. We have the investigators you need to find out the answers you deserve. All you have to do is head to spacedoutradio.com. Your information is 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines Report. It's free, and we're here to help.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
We're lighting the void on Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio. Hey, this is Joe Roop, and I'm hanging out in SOR headquarters every Saturday night, bringing you the latest news when it comes to the weird and strange. Bigfoot, occult, UFOs, ghosts, and everything in between, I got you covered. You can tune in to spacedoutradio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Come travel into the void with us on Spaced Out Saturdays.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guests and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. Now, back to Elizabeth Anglin and SOR.
And we are back. Good evening and welcome back to Spaced Out Radio's Cosmic Passport and Psychic Sunday. I am your host, Elizabeth Anglin, coming to you live from the Cosmic Cruise Mobile here in Madrid, New Mexico. For all of you listening in from North America and around the world, thanks for coming back and being here. Even though I'm grumpy, I'm grouchy, I've been covered with dust all day and trying to reorganize my space. Thank you for listening anyway. Hey, if you are from WQEE 99 Rock the Key in Noonan, Georgia, thanks. Everybody at spacedoutradio.com, thanks. United Public Radio Network and KTLK, the Fringe.fm, thanks. Hey, Guitar God, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, we love you. We really do. Thank you for making us some great music. And if you're on Twitter, check us out at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like at Spaced Out Radio. On Facebook, you can follow me at Elizabeth Anglin. I'm the one with the cowboy hat, or Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio. You can hear all our archive shows there or on the archives on Spreaker. Tune us in on TuneIn. Download our shows from iTunes. We're also on RadioGuide.fm, TalkStream Live, and on Stitcher. And, of course, the website is spacedoutradio.com. We do have a Patreon site through spacedoutradio.com. Check that out. You can find some cool offers that'll help us keep going. And if you want to take part in the show, you'll have to sign into one of our chat rooms tonight on Spreaker or on the chat room on the on Facebook at the SOR Space Travelers Club. If you head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, for just $5 a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. We offer some pretty decent stuff for you, our valued listener, there as well. Hey, check out our news section, The Encounter. We have a lot of great news, courtesy of Abby Lee and our editor, Eric Markham. And you can check out Dave Scott's latest blog there as well. If you've had an experience you can't explain, fill out an SOR Sightlines report. Our researchers are ready to help you find out what's going on. And again, a thanks to everyone listening on WQEE 99 Rock the Key in Georgia, Renegade Talk Radio out of Las Vegas, UPRN, and 160 countries from around the world, and thefringe.fm. Thank you guys all for listening. We are back with our wonderful psychics this evening. Kelly DelBianco, Paul Simons, Cinda Kay Campbell, Galactic, Earthly, it doesn't matter. It's all good. How are you guys doing tonight? Hello.
Hello.
Oh, hi. How you doing?
Hello. We're here. We're here.
We're here.
Don't mind those people in the back seat. I'm grumpy. I'm driving this car. I'm driving it right over the edge of the cliff. Nobody can hear nothing. You can't hear you when you scream because I still have you on mute. Oh, my goodness.
We're just going for a little astral travel. Never mind us.
Never mind those guys. We still have a lot of questions to get to from the chat rooms. I'm trying to find all of them. We had somebody ask about, oh wow, let's see. Truth Nova was looking to get a job through through a friend named Doug. And the posting is 10 days old. Do you think that job is still worth going for?
No.
I second that.
Okay, so it is a little late.
But I would say that he should put his information in anyways, because I feel that job could come up again.
Well, see, I got that there could be communication, start a communication.
Yep.
You know, it may not be that job. It might lead to something else. But if he's feeling pulled to this, you know, we have to honor our impulses.
Okay. Andy from Australia asked if he was human and ET, and he was a hybrid or a hybrid, is what you got. He says he feels very human and ET, but he wants to know which race ET.
Okay, so Paul, I heard Arcturian right away. I don't know if that's right.
I heard, yeah, I got Arcturian as well.
Okay.
Cinda, anything?
That's not necessarily my line of expertise, so I'll leave that to the experts.
We'll leave that to those alien people. Okay.
Exactly.
Ron's going through a transition. Now, Ron is probably my most and least favorite listener, because I love him so. It's like we were born into the same family but too close together, so we have to like throw peanuts at each other and tease each other constantly. So Ron, I overlooked you. Yeah, Ron, I overlooked your question because I thought it was like something you were like, here, Elizabeth, take some more of my stuff, and it was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But he actually has a question, and it's a good question, and it deserves an answer. And I apologize for being the bratty sister of Ron. He says his cosmic passport starts soon. He is going through a possible move. The life that he's had, this life for 4 more years, or a new life for 10.
Go with me.
I get that he has to decide what he wants. He has not taken a position on this, and it could go either way, but he has to take a position on it and decide what he wants, and it'll go the way he chooses. It's not something we should tell him. He has to decide. It's a decision of his.
Yeah, and I'm getting that he needs to put the head with the heart and the heart with the head. And instead of all being in the head or being all in the heart, he needs to put them together and make a decision with them together.
Okay. So, Ron, if you have a follow-up question, please ask it. I promise I will read it, and I won't pretend that you're throwing food at me at the dinner table like I normally pretend that you're doing, because that's what I've come to love and expect from you, just like my older brother or younger brother. I don't know how old you are, and I'm not going to read it. Let's see. So you were right about Joseph. He was dead, and he was not okay when he died. Lois wants to know. She says he was very upset. So from Lois, she wants to know how she might help Joseph now that he has passed.
Is this the gentleman that we said that was stuck?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just
okay.
Assure him that everything's okay, that she's okay, that everything's okay.
Part of the reason he's stuck is he feels he's needed, and there is some, I don't know how I'm going to manage or what I'm going to do, and there's some stuff going on which is making him feel uncomfortable and uncertain about going into the light and moving on. And if he knows that everything's okay and is reassured, he'll be able to move on.
Yeah, and so even though he's has passed now, people can still say, I'm okay now, you can move on, right? They can actually make that statement and put that energy out there, but they have to be okay, or else he's not going to move on. And so, I had this case with another client of mine who still had her son's ashes after 7 years. And were there, and she was still working on, couldn't release him because this was in her house, and she was doing all this stuff all the time. And so we had to lay down a plan of how the release could happen. And if there's people that going on in a situation like that, then you may have to lay out a plan. Okay, well, maybe we need to think about where the ashes need to go. Maybe we need to go in honor, maybe, and try to move things on in that way.
Kelly, I think you have a perfect point. I worked with someone within the last 6 months that she was still carrying her father, who had passed away, took his own life 10 years ago, and her mother, who had passed last year. And that was, we didn't address it right away. It took a minute before we could sit down and actually have that conversation. But a lot of times, we do a disservice without knowing it. It's never on purpose. It's never intended. It's it's through love. But the bigger love is allowing and letting go and being okay.
Okay. I think that's a good answer to that. Thank you, Lois, for asking the question. Jade has given us the confirmation we were seeking, which was that no, you were answering the question about her dad. She says it makes sense that the body and the spirit are in conflict. We hadn't mistaken her with Vivian, and it is possible that he needs to and may transition soon. She thinks he may have dementia, and it may be out of the body. But she says, thank you very much for responding to my question. And she was in the Maritimes, so it's very, very late her time, because she's out in the Canadian Maritimes. Thank you, Jade, for staying up and listening and talking and writing back, even though it's so late. Thanks for staying up with us. Greg wants to know, do I have any attachments? The last few months, I have had zero interest in work, family stuff, etc., which is totally not like me. I'm normally active, but I feel a bit drained now.
I get that he has 3 attachments that can be cleared.
Where's his focus? Where is he keeping his focus? That's important as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to know if he's had some emotional stuff going on, because this is part of some of the attachments.
And I would like to know if any of that has to do with your parents, Greg, or something about your parents that's affecting your life. So give us a little more information. And I also get that you have a sense of dread, which the attachments may be, they may be making it more, like making more of it. And that's
exactly.
It's hard to walk around when you're feeling the sense of dread. It's hard to be interested because you're waiting for the shoe to drop.
That's the emotional stuff, right? Going on. That's keeping
not
those
waiting for the
attachments
worst
there.
to happen. Looking for the
Okay. The guy, my favorite guy, Craig. I know exactly who you are. I'm pretty sure you're Craig. Anyway, the guy, if you're not Craig, let me know. He wants to know, what race of alien am I? That's his question. What race of alien am I? Well, he's Canadian. He's not American, so he's an alien right there.
Pardon me. Pardon me.
I'm getting Palladian.
Yeah, I would agree with the Pleiades. Though I think he's traveled in another star system in another life.
Yeah, I think so too.
But, all good Canucks have to have more than one, so.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it's Sirius, which is what, the dog star? Come on, I'm being rude. But
you're going to get us in trouble tonight. No, but I really do. I think that he's come on a different life through being through another star system.
Okay. Let's see. Nicola asks, can Paul clear me of any attachments, please?
Okay. It'll take about 45 seconds. Is that okay?
Sure, it's okay. Are you going to not say anything? Or are you going to talk?
Okay. No. Okay, I'll do it. So I'm putting gold, electric, ultraviolet, blue, and platinum light in her heart chakra, making the infinity symbol and a 3-foot column of gold, electric, ultraviolet, blue, platinum light. Now I'm placing 6 holographic duplicates of her, one above, below, to the left, to the right, in front, and behind. I'm taking the Ascended Masters I work with up through the Galactic Core, Central Sun, Secret Sun, Platinum Sun, and down into her field. Any cords, attachments, implants, hooks, entities, or thought forms, seen or unseen, cloaked or uncloaked, even if they're changing frequencies and dimensions in matter, antimatter, and all alternate realities are being cleared out and placed in the closest holographic duplicate. The count of 3, 1, 2, 3. We're sealing the 6 holographic duplicates, sending them to the Central Sun. She's clear.
Okay, great. And then Lois asks, am I part alien?
I'm getting no.
Yeah, that's why I was hesitating, because I was going, well, let me just feel out again. And I get the same thing, no. I don't feel the ET connection there.
Okay. Susan asks, is there anything I can do about the pain I am in besides opiates? Well, I always suggest Reiki. I've been through a shattered vertebrae with Reiki, but what do you guys suggest?
I agree 100%. Energetic.
Energetics will help. Also, there's some hurt and pain and sorrow. There's some energy that needs to shift in her, emotional, and if that shifts, the pain will lighten up and start to mitigate and clear. But if she doesn't shift, she's going to need a lot of things to suppress the pain, because it's going to just always be there. The emotional shifting is important.
Yes, and I think she needs a Reiki master because of what she needs to get released.
And the
well,
other thing
I also
is,
feel the cellular DNA is holding trauma that if it's released out of the cellular DNA, that'll help too. I think some of the stuff she's holding, but she doesn't know how to release it.
Yeah.
So Susan, and I'll put it to you this way, I am a Reiki master, and I've been through a lot of painful things, and Reiki helped me a lot, and I had chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, went into remission for most of my lifetime from that, and still am in basic remission. But went through a shattered, completely disintegrated vertebrae without any drugs, just did Reiki. And then, except for the first trip to the hospital, which they gave me morphine, which was hilarious, but of course it wasn't good for me, so I didn't get any more. But when I started to presence arthritis in my hands and feet and knees, it was emotionally based, and I could Reiki myself as much as I wanted to, but I still would have this terrible pain in my feet and knees and my hands. And so I went to somebody who does emotion code clearing, and that cleared that up. It was mainly emotional stuff. And arthritis is, if you've never had it in your hands, and especially your feet, you just don't know how painful it can be. But emotion code clearing worked, and so I learned how to do it if you have any questions. But the Healer's Library is where you go to find out more about that, and possibly find somebody near you, or you can talk to anybody in the world on the phone to do emotion code clearing. But both things are really great for clearing pain, especially emotional pain. And if you go to a Reiki master, somebody will give you time, like an hour and a half on the table. That can help too. Like you can basically do a regression through a Reiki treatment. You don't have to ask for this, it's whatever will come, but that would remove some of the trauma too. Like they were saying. I just thought I'd say both because I've had a lot of pain, and I do pain.
And I've been through a lot of pain myself. And as I was listening to Elizabeth speak, that self-nurturing can do so much more than what we realize. It's sometimes I realize that it's almost like a black hole in the chest sometimes. But the only person that can tend to that garden and to that to fill that is me. And not that, but in that we have to have all the support around us, the friends and those kind of things. But ultimately, we go in and we learn to love ourselves. And as we do that, a lot of those things shift and move on naturally as well. And I don't disagree with getting the help. I definitely think she needs the outside support as well. Just adding that self-nurturing goes a long ways.
Yeah, I just want to say with the Reiki master to make sure that she feels aligned with that person she's going to work with and comfortable with them, because my guides are telling me that there's going to be stuff coming up that she's got to be comfortable letting out.
Yeah. Like you can go so deep in a good Reiki treatment that, you really have to feel like you're safe. You're with somebody who's going to just nurture you and let you be and not judge anything that comes out and not get scared and not get frightened and, just take care of you. So, yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Okay, we're going to move on. Robin asked in the SOR Space Travelers chat room, question, what do you see for me that will happen this year? Well, it's a long year, Robin. But do we see anything that sticks out that, is more significant than everything else that happens in a year?
There could be some change. It's like she wants some changes, but she's not quite ready to step out and take the change. I apologize. Yeah. I apologize. But the main point...
It feels like there's multiple things that need to change, but it's sort of like nothing's changing.
Yeah, and I'm getting there's action needed, not reaction.
Okay, I'm for some reason I'm getting Philip K. Dick. I don't know why, so go read some. And I get that there's a lot of action under the surface, but you haven't decided. It's almost like you have this rolling action under the surface, and you haven't jumped on, and it's spiraling, and you haven't jumped on you haven't decided where you want to jump onto the spiral to launch yourself into the thing that it is that you want to be doing. So, yeah. Okay. Thanks, Robin, for asking the question. Let us know if you have a follow-up. Dave is going to get me for answering questions. I'm sorry, guys. I'll stop. Don't tell Dave.
I won't tell on you.
Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
We'll just say there was a little dwarf called Grumpy on, not Elizabeth.
Grumpy decided to do readings tonight. Grumpy had been very dusty all day and hadn't had enough outlet besides dust.
And the best way to help oneself.
Right, is help other people.
Exactly.
Right. Greg says, I've had a few relationship problems and the parents are getting on in time, which I'm trying to balance. I'm trying to keep everyone happy, as they say. So that was Greg who was wondering whether he had any attachments and was losing energy and wasn't interested in work. So he's had a few relationship problems. Parents are getting on in age, and I'm trying to balance.
So there's all the emotional stuff happening, right? That caused the attachments. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And is Greg taking too much responsibility for everything without getting any self-care or nurturing or himself?
Yeah.
Well, and that's just it. I think, whenever we all come together like this, it's like a sacred container. And it's, I picture that flower of life and everybody's circles overlap. But, there's been a consistent theme I've seen in this that a lot of times people are worried about, they've been asking for other people. And a lot, not everybody, but, and I do think that there needs to be more of I see a shift and a focus needing to happen across the board where everyone is taking care of their own to where they're so fulfilled that it overflows outwardly. But a lot of times when we focus on other people's concerns and emotions, we're forgetting to deal with our own.
I agree with that. A lot of people are living in the caretaker archetype right now. Mm-hmm. And they're always in the last on the ladder because they are in that caregiving mode all the time, and they don't really recognize it until it's pointed out to them.
Okay. Yeah, agreed. We're going to move on from Greg's question. If I have skipped a question, please write it again because I've gone so far. Gone so far down the Spreaker rabbit hole that I don't think I can go back again. So if I missed you, please retype. I apologize for missing you. Sandra asked, her daughter Cara is taking massage therapy. Does she also have healing hands? And Sandra was the one that you got the sense of doing energy work. Does she also?
Oh, most definitely.
Hands? Okay.
I can feel it resonating all the way.
Yeah. She could do a lot of different things. She could do acupuncture, acupressure, massage,
but this is going to lead
laying
in the
of
right
hands,
direction.
Reiki. Yeah, this is like a starter. It's leading her in the right direction.
Yeah,
sure.
she has much bigger gifts than just that.
She's got legions around her. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got a lot of backing.
Yeah, she has bigger gifts. This is the start.
Wonderful. Okay. Christopher asked, Paul, do you think I will be able to clear this entity, which is the shadow he's been seeing in his dream that's drained his energy? He would like to be released from it.
Yes, I do, and I'm happy to help Christopher if you'd like me to. But as long as he's very clear and participates in the clearing and states that it has to leave now, and it's not allowed to come back. He has to be involved, but yes, it can be cleared.
Yeah. Good news. Lois asks, do I have any psychic ability? And we have Wyatt answering for everybody. If I go away, I'll be right back. So does Lois have any psychic ability?
Was Lois on before? Or is it someone else?
Lois is asking a lot of questions.
Yeah. But I have to wonder if Lois hasn't been giving it, she's been helping people for a long time. People have been coming to her. This isn't anything.
Yeah. It's not really a question. Do we really have to answer this question?
Thank you.
Really? Empath. What do you guys get?
I was along the lines of Oracle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Empath and Oracle. So Akashic Record Empath, would we go there? Like you can look at the...
No,
just Oracle? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so that's a yes. Let's see, going on. Thank you for asking the question, Lois. Chris Duddigan Dodge. Can you tell me if I have any psychic gifts or abilities? Well, you will soon if you don't now. All right, guys, what do you think?
Well, you said it right there. This one it's about the development.
Yeah.
What we reach for is what we attain.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are gifts, but they're more latent. They need to be exercised. It's sort of like an athlete that doesn't exercise every day. They don't get to their full potential. There has to be like a plan, and there has to be some discipline and some practicing and no shortcuts. Really putting in the time.
Yeah, and I can piggyback off of Paul. I really just feel that he's just opening, and he has to do what Paul said to bring those up and more forefront.
Okay. And Chris, I agree, and I think you've made that decision, so I think we're going to be seeing some neat psychic stuff out of you in the near future, so go for it. Okay, Nicola says, I have a spirit guide I call. She wonders if the guide is alien. It's a he, and is he an alien?
That energy of that guide is a little different energy.
I get more ancestor.
Yeah, it's a different energy. It doesn't feel that way to me. I mean, not the way you're saying. I mean, like I like to say ET. It doesn't quite feel like that to me, but the energy is different. So I'm trying to sort it out.
Yeah, it's not that starseed frequency.
I'm getting a lot of green light.
It's ancestral. It's ancestral.
That's what I said.
It's something to do with
That's
the
exactly
lineage.
what I said.
And
you're right.
It's not
I feel
past
like sitting
life,
on her shoulder.
and it's not. It's not past life. It's not anything to do with this life. It has to do with the family lineage and fulfilling something or doing something.
It's
family related.
Yeah, it's the ancestral connection, and it's the ancestral pod in the Akash, and this is coming forward for her through that lineage.
Okay. Thank you for asking the question, Nicola. And that's an interesting answer, you guys. So, ancestor. She said, if so, what race? We're going to call it race ancestor and just leave it at that. And then Brent Dodge, husband of Chris, says, Elizabeth and all, what exactly am I? You're going to ask me this question when I'm grouchy and grumpy, Brent. Are you serious? Seriously?
Exactly. You open yourself wide.
Oh my goodness. Oh, the things I could say when I'm a grouch. I have never really been comfortable in my skin. You should have been in my skin today if you wanted to be uncomfortable in this lifetime. So I would like to know if I'm an alien/hybrid or something else. Oh gosh, so many opportunities. So
I really get the weirdest thing, and I'm just going to say and see if anybody agrees. But I really get that maybe he's more related to Elfin.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. Mountain
I never
elf.
had the thought, but I can feel it.
Yeah, mountain fairy or mountain elf. Fairy is a bad connotation, but mountain elves are really great beings. What do you get, Paul?
I get a elemental, like an earth elemental, and I'm not getting fairy. I'm not getting specific, but like an earth elemental, and I see like a little short being, like about 18 inches tall. That's like walking around and dancing or doing some kind of jig or something. Like a really short guy.
Definitely elemental, and for some reason Elfin came to me, but there's many different shapes and sizes of Elfins.
Okay. All right, this is a question for me because Ron says he's doing the last roll of the morning. Who wants some? Somebody left a rolled cigarette on my porch today or last night. Does anybody get a sense of who that was?
Wow.
I know.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Wasn't a cat.
His name was Larry. But I'm not getting anything more.
I don't know any Larry. Does he know me, or did he just happen to use my porch to roll a cigarette and then leave it there?
I get the impression that whoever it was wandered there and really might have been not quite where they want it to be and took a break.
It feels like a homeless person or a person just walking around that was a little bit lost or intoxicated and confused.
Yeah, because I got like the whole cigarette. And I'm like, who would do this?
Yeah. I totally get when they're sitting there that they don't quite know where they are or what's going on.
Well, I feel like he lost time. Like he took the cigarette out, was going to light it, and left it, and then kept going and didn't even know what happened to it. Like he's not sure. Didn't I have a cigarette? What happened to it?
Yeah.
Maybe he accidentally walked into your vortex and lost his mind for a minute, left his cigarette.
Guys are always doing that. Not with a cigarette, but they lose their mind. And
well, you get left such beautiful gifts.
And I get left cigarettes. Oh, it's lucky me. Okay, so I just wondered that if I had stood somebody up who smoked cigarettes and I hadn't remembered it because I'm having some. I was recently called psychotic, and I'm like, really? Okay, maybe I was having a psychotic moment and I stood up some guy with a cigarette and he left it for me. But I didn't. So there. Okay. Paul said, Paul said, I had 3 attachments. Can you ask him to clear them if he can? Thanks. Can you do that?
Okay. This is Greg, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It'll take a few seconds. We're putting Greg in the center of a 6-sided star in a tunnel of light code, moving in a clockwise direction, morphing into a place I call a temple of light code, large luminous place with light emanating the floor, the walls, the ceiling. There's a 13-pointed gold star in the ceiling on the floor. Now we're placing gold, electric, ultraviolet, blue, platinum light in his heart chakra, making the infinity symbol and 3-foot column of gold, electric, ultraviolet, blue, platinum light. Now we're placing 6 holographic duplicates of Greg above, below, left, right, front, behind, taking the ascended masters up through the galactic core, central sun, sacred sun, platinum sun, and down into Greg's field. Any cords, attachments, implants, hooks, entities, or thought forms, seen or unseen, cloaked or uncloaked, even if they're changing frequencies and dimensions in matter, antimatter, and any alternate realities, including echoes, residuals, energetic tattoos that might bring back cords, attachments, implants, hooks, entities, or thought forms, are being cleared out at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. We're sealing the 6 holographic duplicates, sending them to the central sun. They're gone.
Okay, good deal.
Can you ask Greg if he feels any difference or any feedback on this?
Yes, you can ask him, and you just did. So Greg, give us feedback on that because he can hear you. Lois says gives you cred, Kelly. Yes, I can't access the Akashic records, and she frowns. And then Christopher says, Paul, he will get in touch with you about clearing, so you would like to do that. So,
okay, that's fine.
And let's see what else is going on. Andy from Australia, we were saying Arcturian. Your alien lineage is Arcturian. Like we, the Arcturians, Arcturian. Christopher, thank you. Christopher says, Liz, I'm sending you love and light energy to help you disperse of the grouchy energy. Thank you, Christopher. I appreciate that. I don't like being grouchy, and the trash can is very confining. I would have to become Oscar Etta James, who sings blues in the trash can, and it would be very noisy. Lois, I think everybody can access the Akashic records. Your question is, so I'm human and unable to access the Akashic records. I feel left out. Lois, everybody can. It's just you have to learn how. If you're a mere mortal like most of us are, there's always ways to learn, and you can find a teacher. So if there's something that you really want to do and you're merely mortal, just put it out there to find a teacher, and the teacher will come. Especially if it's going to be good for you and good for if you're going to use whatever it is to be of service to others.
Yeah. I'm an Akashic Records master. And the lady we were talking to before, you were saying maybe she works in that realm, and the answer was no.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't mean that nobody can. Everybody can access into their records. If they go about it the right way, the Lords will let them in. But they may not always have access into other people's records if the Lords don't want them in. There's some reasons why they don't allow them.
Yeah, there's some information that you can access because you would muck things up, and it doesn't matter who you are. They're not going to let anybody into that information because sometimes things are sealed. Sometimes you'll get like a galactic sealing. Sometimes it'll just be, for this person that's sealed. So, but no, no, it's not that you can't. It's just like you're not doing that right now.
Yeah.
Was that? Yeah. Okay, going on. Lois would like to be cleared of all of her attachments.
Lois?
Yeah.
Does Lois have attachments?
Does Lois have any attachments?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So we're making 6 holographic duplicates of Lois above, below, left, right, front, behind, taking the ascended masters up through the galactic core, central sun, secret sun, platinum sun, and down into Lois's field. Any cords, attachments, implants, hooks, entities, or thought forms, seen or unseen, cloaked or uncloaked, even if they're changing frequencies and dimensions in matter, antimatter, and all alternate realities are being cleared off of Lois and placed in the closest holographic duplicate at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. We're sealing the 6 holographic duplicates, sending them to the central sun. Okay, she's clear.
Okay, good. Eric Markham says in his typical snarky Markham way, wow, so many masters and council members. Doesn't anyone ever just have a humble existence? Well, I'm going to answer this, Eric, because I love you. And I don't want you to feel left out. There's this principle of having concurrent lifetimes where you can be exceedingly humble, and in Buddhism they'll talk about bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas are on the service path, and bodhisattvas will often incarnate in the most humble of situations in order to do 1 or 2 very valuable things. So your masters and council members often look like I said, the stoner dude who's doing absolutely nothing, or the lady who's working at the coffee shop who pours coffee all day until she's 85. Or, you guys come up with another example.
Well, I work as a registered nurse. And I don't go around telling people, I'm on the council and I'm an Akashic Records master and this and that. And I work in a job that is of service. And people that personally know me, I'm a very humble person. In fact, they're all telling me to grab some ego.
Yeah.
I live in Brazil and I work in a spiritual community helping the public, and I do work holding up the energy grid, but it's kind of remote and removed from a lot of people that I used to know. I'm not really around the people I used to know because I'm not in the United States anymore.
When I got my start, I was a young mom, driving to gymnastics every day, and I would have never thought for a million years. So, I think everybody has a connection to the invisible realm. It's just, yes. Are you connected to it? Are you seeking it out? Do you know your true self?
Yes, I totally agree with that, because all of us just are regular people who opened to our spirituality and what was coming to us,
mm-hmm.
and stepped into it.
We're asking for. Yeah.
And it may be that we're using terminology that sort of gets over the ego problem of being, of disallowance. These are things that everybody has abilities. Everybody has the ability to be connected to their interdimensional selves, their what you want to call high self, their divine self. Everybody has these abilities, but we may need to use grand words sometimes, or be working, across some place in time, in an important place, in order to feel like it's okay, we have permission. And I'm not saying that to discount anything that was said here tonight, but if we don't look across time and say, oh, right, that is part of me, that is part of who I am, to be doing some kind of work of service in this way. And yeah, we give it a really nice title, but we could call it Galactic Crap Shoveler, because that's an important job too, right? If you're clearing out crappy entities, are you not a crap shoveler?
That could be one of the most divine.
It could be, divine galactic crap shoveler. We could call it that, but it's important that sometimes, in order to do the work, that we give it a nice name so that we don't show up at work going, oh yeah, another day, much more galactic crap to shovel.
Yeah, and it's just like calling myself an Akashic Records master. It just means that I have those years of experience and I have moved through all the levels of the courses, so people understand when I'm talking about it where I come from with it.
Yeah, it's a little bit of self-promotion and marketing when you're using the really positive terms. Like if I put out there, I'm your spiritual remover. Yeah, it's not going to work. It's really not going to work. So, just stick with it, Eric. You're normal, but you're gifted too, even though you're a nerd, and I love you for it. Okay, questions, people. Eric, you are a humble nerf herder. Okay, let's see. I'm going to go over to the SOR Space Travelers chat room. We are getting toward the end of the hour. Hey, I forgot to mention, I haven't put this up anywhere on the SOR chat rooms. I am offering a spirit mediumship course, and I guess you guys, if you're offering anything, you can talk about it now. It's going to be on the phone, on a conference call. Go to my website, elizabethanglin.com. Send me an email about it, because my description on my website is not great, but this is a spiritualist spirit medium course that will include some remote viewing and go through the typical things that you go through when you go to a very old spiritualist church. I was trained at the Air Institute at the First Spiritual Temple in Boston, which is the oldest spiritualist church in North America. So this will be going along those guidelines with a little bit of Farsight Institute remote viewing. We're not going to be able to do the thing where I give you somebody's stuff to handle and see about them, so we're going to do more remote viewing and more meditation. But if you're interested, it's 8 weeks. It starts on Wednesday night. You don't have to be there this Wednesday. If you have a hot date for Valentine's Day, that'll just be orientation, and I will tape it, and you can make out MP3s of that. But do contact me. It starts on Wednesday. Anybody else got anything you're offering? Paul?
Well, I do cellular DNA clearing of trauma, and it depends on if a person wants to clear something that's bothering them or they have a chronic condition. A lot of times it has to do with some shock or some trauma that they're carrying around. And if somebody comes to me, I usually can clear the trauma in 1 or 2 sessions. And they feel much better. The body kind of, after it's released, regroups, and whatever the issue they were experiencing usually just goes away. I'm not a doctor or a medical person, so I can't do diagnosis, but I can work on the chakras. I can work on the person with subtle energy using crystals, different techniques, invocations, working with the Sirius B Council, and I've worked with a lot of people that had conditions be changed or helped, and they've had shifts because it was energetic what was going on.
Okay. Before we go on to the next two folks and what you offer, go. If you have a question, I ask you guys to rewrite it. Don't just complain about it. I'm very grumpy today. Please rewrite your question because I can't go back and find it. Everybody else, if you get a question and I missed it, please rewrite it so I can ask it. Okay. This is your kindly message from Oscaretta the Grouch. Cinda.
Well, I can talk.
or Kelly, what are you doing?
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Kelly. You started. I don't mind finishing it up.
Okay. Well, I am a soul seer, which means that I see into the soul. I see the past. I see the future. and I really see you. So I do a lot of soul work, and I do a lot of, and that is the reason why I'm connected into the Akasha records. And so I go into the records and find out what needs to be cleared, and I heal you working through the records and what's coming through with your soul. And I use light language healing within the records when they're open to help activate and shift these things. But a new one that I am adding to my repertoire is that I will be doing readings for businesses within the Akasha and aligning businesses now.
Okay. And Cinda?
Interesting. I am not as formally trained as everybody else on the how do you say that? Anyway, but I started seeing and have been traveling all over the world for about 25 years now. I've gone to locations from Lourdes, France, to the oldest Buddhist temple in Vietnam, to the killing fields of Cambodia, Auschwitz, to temples in Bali. Also been to Serbia, and at each of these places I've been able to connect with high beings and ascended masters and other ancestral but high ancestral. And so that would be Vishnu in Bali, or Mary in Lourdes, different ones around, and they come with me and come forth whenever I do readings and whenever I go around to help energetic places around the world where energy gets stuck, so we can also help with energetic beings with that could be attached to people as well. But like I said, I combine the energy with these ascended masters and these high beings, and that's how I work with people. Yeah.
Great. Wonderful. Okay, we have a couple more questions because we do have a few extra minutes at the end. Char would like to know, and I asked her when, because I don't know, she didn't put when, who was in my house and how did they get in? You know, your house has been around for a long time, Char, so we need a better thing. Do we need to know when, who was in her house? Because, you know, that could be a lot of time. Oh, today. She says today. Who was in her house today and how did they get in?
I feel they went through the front door.
Okay.
I don't know why this is coming up, but I'm seeing a cat. Why am I seeing a cat? Who's throwing off a cat to me?
Yeah, we'll have to ask Char about that. I can't say for her. Cinda, do you get anything?
The front door, I'll agree with, easy access. Whoever it was, you don't know if there's kids involved and someone opened the door, but I felt easy access.
Okay. Gogo wants to know, what is her guide's name? You know you have more than one Gogo, right?
Yeah, and I won't answer that because I don't give people their guides' names. I want them to meet their guides and figure them out themselves, so I'll have to withdraw myself.
You know, my guides came to me and introduced themselves. So that's not one I usually like to take over.
Okay. Paul, do you want to try it or no?
I don't usually get names. I can see them, but I don't get the names.
Yeah. And Gogo, I'm getting that you're almost to the point that you're going to get it yourself.
Mm-hmm. And any kind of repetitive thing, you know, if something's repetitive and it keeps coming up, pay attention to it. You know, this is going to sound strange, and please don't take it wrong, but for 2 weeks I was getting something about a swastika, and I don't mean the type in Germany. I'm talking about what you see on the temples in Vietnam and in Asia, all over Asia, and it's angled different. And anyway, and I was seeing this over and over and over again. And about 2 weeks after that, there was on a card I see a white owl, but after that I have a vision of a white owl with a Hindu goddess on it. And I've never really, even though I've been to India and I did go around one trip, I didn't stay and just study Hinduism or anything like that. So there's many, many deities that I had not been, that I had known. And anyway, I find out that it is Lakshmi that had been coming to me. So anytime that something is over and over and over again, keep an eye on it. It's almost more interesting if it's someone you haven't heard of before, because that's when you know that they're coming for you.
Okay, cool. The Craig asked, or the guy asked, what is the deepest awareness all of you have come to in this life? It's that I still don't know anything. That's my answer. The rest
of you? The more I know, the less I know.
Yeah. 20 steps forwards, 150 steps backwards. Holy crap.
Go ahead, Paul.
I just feel like there's an almost unlimited amount of information to learn, and that we're just facilitators, or I feel very humbled.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I learn, I know there's more to learn, and it's like a journey that never ends.
Yeah. And you can think, like you can get so proud of yourself. Oh, I know this, and I got here, and I got that, and then something will just come along, and the universe will be like, oh, getting pretty full of yourself, right? Smack. And,
wipe it all out and start all over again.
Start all over again, because you started going down you started getting in your head instead of your heart. You started, believing the highfalutin terminology, which just means that you started scratching the surface over there.
Yeah. For me, with the visual, you see the planetary system and it's huge, and then you see Earth, and I'm like this little tiny speck in this big planet of Earth that looks just like nothing compared to everything, but yet I can stand in the power of all of it. And it's just amazing to me.
And with that, we are going to say goodnight. This is Cosmic Passport. This is Elizabeth Anglin, your grouchy host for the evening. Thank you, Paul Simons. Thank you, Kelly DelBianco. Thank you, Cinda Kay Williams. Thank you, everybody who asked a question. Thank you for the people I yelled at for not yelling at me back. We will be back next week. Same time, same place.